We're near the end of our journey on the River Highway. Over the past 3 days, we've seen canyons, cruise ships, and ancient waterfalls, and learned about how our system of dams help move cargo in the most climate-friendly way possible. Today, we deliver 14,000 tons of Eastern Washington grain to ports on the lower river, where it becomes part of the global food supply through shipments all over the world. The River Highway is one of the least seen, least understood, and most valuable pieces of infrastructure in the western U.S. And experiencing it up close is the key to understanding how our working rivers affect us each and every day. All right, it's been about 6 hours since we left the Dalles. Traveled the entire length of the Columbia River Gorge. It's pitch black out, a little bit of cloud cover, not a lot of stars. And I just learned as we're passing under the Bridge of the Gods that our tow is too long to fit through the Bonneville Lock. We're now entering the Bonneville Lock, which is an incredible sight up close. This, of course, was the very first dam with any navigation on the river. The folks in the shipping industry actually lobbied very hard to have the navigation lock added to this dam early on. Bonneville Dam was a New Deal project. It was all about putting Americans back to work during the Great Depression and generating this new technology called hydropower. The innovation of putting a navigation lock on a major river like this was a game-changing idea. And that ripple effect, of course, went all the way up to Lewiston, Idaho. So I heard a rumor that we might be a little long.
Yeah, we just have to cut loose. We'll cut loose once we get in the lock and get tied off. We'll move the boat over to our short side so that we fit.
So how did this happen? I thought that all the barges were the right length.
They are, but with this boat, it doesn't have as much rudder power as a bigger boat, so we push on the long side. It just handles a lot better.
All right, so we are now fully in the lock chamber, but we are still 10 feet too long in the back. It turns out that everything would fit if the tugboat was attached on the short end of this tow configuration. But with the limited horsepower of this particular boat, it just made more sense to be on the long end. Now that we're in the lock chamber, they're actually gonna disconnect us and we're gonna slide over to the right-hand side, reconnect, and then they'll drop us in the lock. It really is art, the way that these boat captains manage things on the river. The thousands of different scenarios they have to consider all at once. It's pretty incredible.
Bonneville, the Lincoln, we're all skier.
We are headed down. It's our final lockage of the trip, Bonneville Dam. While the navigation locks are all a uniform size in terms of length and width, this lock right here at Bonneville Dam is hands down the shortest of all 8 locks on the Columbia Snake system. It's also the newest, having just been opened in the early 90s. As a result, it's probably the nicest in terms of facilities and finish. All right, so we're almost at the bottom of the Bonneville lock chamber, which means we are approaching natural sea level. Below Bonneville Dam, the Columbia River is free flowing. There's actually a little bit of tidal influence down here. It will rise and fall with the Pacific tides. So from here on out, it's much less about slack water and much more of a lower Mississippi style river to navigate. This is crazy. So the tug pushed the tow forward. We are in motion right now, exiting the lock very, very slowly. And the tugboat has let go and is about to reattach. We're exiting the Bonneville lock, headed down the lower Columbia River. Good morning. It's just a little past sunrise. We are on the Lower Columbia, right outside of Portland. We're almost to our destination. This trip is just about done. They call this right here a spud barge. It's a regular flat bottom barge that at one time probably was in operation here on the river, but now it's more or less permanently retired here in the river and essentially used as a floating platform. And right now it makes a convenient place to tie off. We've been traveling with these 4 grain barges for hundreds of miles, but of course the ultimate goal is to deliver the product to the customer. Here on the lower river, one of these barges is due to be delivered to a customer right at the mouth of the Willamette. We're about to do pretty much the reverse of what we did back at the Dalles. We're gonna drop off the majority of the tow here and then take one barge up the Willamette to deliver to the customer, then backtrack with just the tug, pick up the remaining 3 barges and continue down the lower Columbia towards Longview. All right, this is cool. We're in the first mile of the Willamette River, just a little ways away from the mouth of the river. Captain's sliding in right here, but look what's right next to us. That is an ocean-going cargo ship being loaded with grain. We've watched the grain get harvested out in eastern Washington. We've seen it loaded onto trucks and taken down to the river. We've seen the grain loaded onto a barge and then transported by Shaver Transportation hundreds of miles downriver here to the Portland, Vancouver area. And now this is the final step. This is where it gets unloaded from the barge and then transferred onto that ocean-going ship, heading out to global markets. And it's cool to see it full circle. This is how the global food supply works. Growers in the Pacific Northwest and really all over North America are adding to the global food supply. Some of it will be consumed domestically, some of it globally. And the river system is a huge part of it here in the Pacific Northwest. We're about to cast off and say goodbye to this particular barge, and the captain noticed that one of our cameras is still mounted to the side. Yeah, let's not leave that in the Willamette River. And we got big grain terminals upriver, but this is something else. These towers are designed to load ships that are 8 or 10 times the size of what we have on the river. Amazing. Don't want to say goodbye to that. Joshua's calling me. Hey Joshua, captain spotted it, I grabbed it. On my way back. Thank you. All right, stepping off that barge for the last time. I'm back inside. Oh, you're swinging this thing around fast.
Yeah, that's one of my things that still gives me pleasure, I guess.
One barge delivered, 3 to go. One of the #1 questions I get in the comments on these videos is, what do you eat on the boat? We eat really well. Look at this place, full kitchen, dishwasher, microwave, ice machine. I'm getting kind of hungry, so let's get a snack. Cooter Gold cheese, that was my contribution. All kinds of leftovers. Oh, let's see what's in here. Jackpot. This is so good. I would just eat this cold all day. Fresh juice, plenty of vegetables, and lots of fixings for salads. Mango chunks, whole strawberries, Tillamook ice cream sandwiches. Not gonna lie, I am low-key jealous. Shaver takes really good care of their crews. We are at the Port of Kalama, downstream from Portland, but upstream of Longview. And we just dropped off grain barge number 2. Just 2 more to go. We are at Rainier on the Columbia River, just upstream of Longview. And we just said goodbye to barge number 3, 1 more to go. I spent a lot of time in eastern Washington where we have a lot of grain elevators and a bunch of them right along the river for loading onto barges. But those barges are at max 300 and some feet long. They're nothing compared to the ocean-going ships, which are the next step in the process. And here at the Port of Longview, check out this terminal right here. This thing is enormous. That huge conveyor ramp splits into 2 spouts and then into 4. 3 independent gantries able to load one giant container ship from 3 spots at once. They are capable of moving a mind-boggling amount of grain. And a large percentage of Eastern Washington grain made it downriver in barges just like this. Four of 4 barges delivered. That's the end of this trip. The whole load has been sent downriver. 14,000 tons of grain delivered in just a little over 3 days by a crew of 4 people. That's incredible. The Columbia Snake River transportation system is not just nice to have, it is a vital part of the Pacific Northwest contribution to the global food supply. And it's not just grain. There's also fuel and fertilizer and wood products. Hundreds of different items in enormous quantities are transported on this river every single year. And most people have no idea that this is going on right offshore. I hope you enjoyed this trip down the River Highway as much as I did. Hopefully you have a deeper appreciation for what this transportation system means to our region, and you have a better sense of what would be lost if it were to suddenly go away. The dams on the Snake River and the Columbia River are not antiquated, they're not obsolete, and they're certainly not something that we want to do without. They're a vital part of the largest clean energy portfolio in the entire United States and an essential part of how we move goods in the most climate-friendly way possible. Thanks for watching.